What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good day. I did a thought experiment with artificial intelligence, and I'll explain to you here in just a moment. I'm going to read some stuff to you first before we start with a video that I created or made and everything. But let me read to you something first here. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed. That is from Isaiah 54, verse 10. Just a second, please. Matthew 24:2. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. In Mark chapter 13, verse 2. And Jesus answering said unto him, Seest thou great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Now, if you've been in the Bible, studied the Bible and everything, I'm sure you've heard these verses before in Bible studies, Sunday school, and in church also. So they shouldn't be unfamiliar if they're somewhat familiar with the Bible and Christian belief. But more recently, people have been talking about what if a scenario happened. And that scenario is, what if gravity suddenly stopped for 7 seconds? That's an interesting thought to think about, guys. And so I went ahead and did a thought experiment. And this is what I found out. So I'm going to switch over here, guys, right here. And we're going to play a video. Just some pictures I put together. Here we go. This kind of depicts the second coming of Christ coming in. If Earth's gravity suddenly vanished for exactly 7 seconds, while the planet continued rotating at its current rate, the scenario would be catastrophic and on a global scale. But let's break it down step by step, focusing on the physics and the role of underground bunkers. Note that this is highly hypothetical. Gravity doesn't just turn off in reality, and it's a fundamental property of mass. But we'll assume the Earth's mass and structure remain intact, with only the gravitational forces ceasing temporarily. And before I continue, guys, now we've heard talks about the core of the Earth reversing, and we heard about the effects it might have upon the planet with plate movements and magma rising and mantle shifting and ocean water sloshing and all kinds of stuff like that. If you haven't heard, well, you all need to go look it up. So that's there, guys. And that's kind of important with what we're seeing right now, we're getting ready to hear. What happens without gravity? Earth's rotation and centrifugal force. Gravity is what keeps everything bound to the planet's surface. Without it, the Earth's rotation would cause an outward centrifugal force to dominate. This force is strongest at the equator, about 0.034 meters per second squared. Unsecured objects and people on the surface could be flung outwardly or tangentially due to their inertial motion, whatever motion they was already in. We already rotate at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. At the equator, the tangential speed is roughly 465 meters per second, around 1,040 miles an hour. If gravity stops, you continue in a straight line while the Earth curves beneath you, effectively launching you off the surface, and at initial velocity matching that speed in 7 seconds, you could travel several kilometers tangentially before gravity resumes. And it goes into calculation stuff. Displacement calculation. Under pure centrifugal acceleration, An object at the equator would move outwardly at about some formula numbers, but it comes out to 0.03 meters. But factoring in a tangible component, the actual path would be more like a brief orbital ejection, potentially sending people and objects flying off into space or the atmosphere. The atmosphere isn't gravitationally bound anymore, so it could expand rapidly outward, like a balloon letting out the air suddenly, creating hurricane force winds and decompression effects. Oceans would float away in massive blobs causing tsunamis upon gravity's return. Gravity holds Earth's rock's core mantle together. A sudden loss could cause the planet to start disassembling from internal compressors and rotation, with chunks breaking off. However, over just 7 seconds, the disintegration might be limited to surface layers cracking or minor eruptions, not full planetary explosion. Think of earthquakes magnified times 1,000. Unprotected people would be hurled away at high speeds, likely fatally, due to the sudden acceleration, lack of air, or collision. Even at mid latitudes, the effect would be severe, though less than at the equator. Would underground bunkers provide protection? Partially, but not reliably for everyone, and it depends on the bunker's depth, design, and location. High-end bunkers like those owned by billionaires, reinforced concrete silos, or mountain carved facilities could shield against some immediate effects, but not all. The structural anchoring of bunkers are embedded into the Earth's crust, so they're not as prone to flying off. If the surrounding rock stays cohesive, the bunkers could remain in place. People inside would experience weightlessness, floating briefly, but secured straps or harnesses common in survival bunkers could prevent injury from bouncing around. Sealed bunkers would block atmospheric loss, flying debris, or water surges. Systems like air filtration, oxygen reserves, and pressure seals could maintain a livable environment during the brief vacuum-like conditions outside. Shallow bunkers, 10 to 20 meters down, might crack from seismic shocks as the crust adjusts. Deeper ones, over 100 meters deep, like the coveted missile silos, would be insulated from surface centrifugal forces and disintegration risk. If the Earth's internal pressures cause the ground to heave, or fracture due to no gravity compressing the layers, the bunker would be crushed, sheared, or ejected as part of a larger chunk. Rotation would exacerbate this, potentially spinning the bunker like a tumbling rock. Even underground, if the bunker isn't perfectly aligned with the rotation, differential velocities could tear it apart. At equator locations, the effect is worse. Bunkers there might shift more than polar ones. Kind of wonder why they're putting their bunkers where they are. Facilities like the Cheyenne Mountain Complex or luxury doomsday bunkers, Valvo's Survival Condos project, are built for extreme scenarios with shock absorbers, blast doors, and independent power. They'd likely protect against the 7-second event better than the surface structures, but no bunker is designed for zero gravity planetary rotation. It's untested territory. Overall outcome. This would be an extinction level event for most surface life. With billions dying from ejection, asphyxiation, or impacts, underground bunkers could save a tiny fraction of prepared individuals, but only if they're deep, sealed, and stocked for post-event survival. poles would fare better than the equator due to weaker centrifugal effects. If you meant a different interpretation, just gravity loss, etc., etc., that's one interpretation. So I'll give you another one, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop right here before I read another, because I don't know how the video's rolling while I'm talking. But, you know, guys, recent years,